Yeah. What's the job?
I am a bike mechanic.
Wow. Okay, that's perfect for you.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know where Wythenshawe Park is?
Yeah.
It's in Wythenshawe Park, basically. There's this charity called Simply Cycling.
Right.
What they do is they allow people of all abilities, so disabilities or just, anyone normal, to ride bikes. Basically, we hire out the running track
Oh yeah.
and you can ride around the track. You pay £3 for 45 minutes. And yeah, just that. But I just kind of keep an eye on the bikes and work on them if needed.
Yeah. That's perfect. It sounds like a nice chilled job as well. It's like kind of like turn your hobby into a job kind of thing.
Yeah, I was working yesterday, but it's good pay to be fair.
Well, it's kind of like during this time that you're at college, it's going to be like a godsend to have a job like that. So you're going to start learning. How does it work with the bike? Then you got to get a bike, and then you put an L plate on it, and then you just with the provisional you can just go.
No, basically, for my age, because there's different licenses you can get. The one I'm looking at is called an A1 license, and if I got it, I could ride anything up to an 125cc.
Right.
But what you have to do is you have to get your provisional, then you do what's called your compulsory basic training (CBT), and that's basically a day course where you learn the basics of riding a bike, different maneuvers, different signals, all that sort of stuff. You do a bit of riding, like around a car park and a road, etc. But once you've got your CBT, because you can't fail your CBT, but basically once you've done that and got your certificate, if you've got a bike that's road legal, insured, taxed, etc.,
Yeah.
you can ride it on the roads with L plates for up to 2 years, and then within that 2 years, you can do your theory and practical tests and get your full license.
That's going to be a massive change then for you. It's going to be an upgrade from cycling everywhere.
But I think with my Tourette's, I don't know. I'd like to learn how to drive some sort of vehicle, just so I can get around easier than relying on public transport.
Because there's something that we talked about that last time, and I haven't it's not something we've talked about this time, but it is something that was kind of prominent last time we talked about it.
If there was a day where my tics were really bad, they can impair my concentration, vision, anything, like reaction times as well. And if you want to drive on the road, especially on a motorway, you need your reaction time and all that sort of stuff to be kind of in good shape, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you have to declare Tourette's to the DVLA?
Yeah, I had a look. If I was to apply for my provisional, you have to declare any disabilities or anything that would affect you driving.
In a way, you said it could affect your concentration, but for example, when you say your vision, how does it affect the vision kind of thing? Is it more like if you look away?
Yeah, something like that. Or if I have a tic of, say, rolling my eyes in the back of my head, if I'm doing that on a motorbike and I roll my eyes back and all of a sudden I'm almost rear-ending a car, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dangerous.
So would you be safer? I mean, I guess everyone's safer in a car, let's face it, Cars are always safer. But that'll be more difficult to get your license because you're going to have someone that'll make you nervous in a way if you've got someone evaluating your driving.
Well, I suppose you have if you do driving tests or you do driving lessons. So I feel like in that aspect, it wouldn't really make a difference for me.
When you fell off your bike, for example, that's because of someone just standing in front of you, or it was muddy. It's not. So far, you've not had an accident based on Tourette's.
No. If I've had a near miss because once I was riding and I probably shouldn't have gone out on my bike, but I took this turning and this guy in another car was turning from the other side of the road and he almost hit me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, shit, that was bad. So I just pulled over to the side of the road and took a few minutes to kind of calm myself down.
When you said you shouldn't have gone out, what do you like? Do you know some days they're going to be worse than others with it?
It's not that I know, but with my judgment, if I know my Tourette's are going to be bad on, if I know my Tourette's are bad on a certain day, it's maybe not wise to go out on my bike.
Yeah. That's interesting. Because that's another thing. We never talked about that last time. Because we talked about the Tourette's and the tics and stuff, but we never talked about how that could affect safety when on your bike or like when driving. It never came up. I never thought about it either. I didn't realize it was a thing. Just learning that now. So like what would be a day where you would think is it just like you start your day and it's like it's not going well today. I've got a lot of tics going on, or is it something that'll trigger it specifically?
My tics usually are triggered by, say, bad sleep or.
Okay.
I mean, there's many things, but I usually know at the start of the day if my tics are going to be bad or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'll wake up, and if I'm already ticking, I know that it's going to be a bad day.
So normally, if you're on a good day, if you've had a good night's sleep, the tics come like later.
Yeah, or they'll just usually be quite mellow. Like, I will always have tics, there'll always be ones kind of happening in the background, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then, if I've had bad sleep, I might start a tic, and it might hurt or, get in the way of things.
So they can hurt as well?
Yeah. I've had a few bad ones. Like, I had one of biting the inside of my cheek a few years ago.
Right.
Well, I've had it a few times, and it's just awful.
Like, obviously it's involuntary. That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing. And I mean, some people have the vocal side of it, but something like I noticed last night, I did a TikTok live, and I did it really late, right? And it was like this thing where I couldn't like right now I'm sitting still and I'm fine, but because it was really late and I was really tired, I was kind of like this the whole time in my chair, just like trying to stay awake. And it was like, I would say it was something I could control if I deliberately chose to control it. But my natural, comfortable thing was to just keep moving in my chair. And I'm thinking, like, when you say tiredness, it's like your brain needs rest in order to overpower the Tourette's kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's an interesting, like, you think about other neurological things like Parkinson's, for example, like there's a movement with it where it's like it's a more or less a constant like need or whatever to move, and I think maybe there seems to be something to do with sleep with a lot of these things. You've got to get enough rest.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a huge factor.
But yeah,
it's about how your body responds to it as well.
And there's nothing that you take, like there's no medications or anything that stop it.
No, I have in the past, but if anything, I found they made them worse.
Yeah. What would they give you for it?
Oh, I can't remember the names of them, but they were basically like, it was basically tranquilizer.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, I can't remember if it was something the NHS were testing or some company, but they reached out to my mum and they said, oh, we've got this watch that goes on your wrist and it can help with controlling Tourette's. Basically what it does is it sends like small electric pulses through your veins, or well, not your veins, but your nervous system, I'd imagine. Yeah. And it controls the tics. And I did say no. I think thinking about it now, maybe I should have been more open to it. But I feel like I think it was in such early development as well. But I didn't want to be like a guinea pig and for something to go wrong.
It might have just been annoying, like the tranquilizers, what didn't really work. It might have just been barking up the wrong tree. Maybe that's not what causes your tics. Maybe it's for some people, but not others. Yeah. But it's something like, it's something that's always going to be part of your life, right? It's not going to go away.
It could do. There are cases of people with Tourette's who've had it and it's kind of gone away. Like, I watched a documentary a few years ago of a group of people with Tourette's, and one of the lads, he was diagnosed with it early on in life, but I think by the time he was 17, it had just basically gone.
Yeah.
It is rare for Tourette's to kind of go away.
Yeah, that is unusual. Like I'm sure there was somebody in a film or a show or something, and she was like, "I used to have Tourette's, but I don't have it anymore." And there was like occasionally a very mild like trace of it, but it wasn't like. It's like it's as if it's like a growth or something that needs to shrink away, until it stops.
I can think of an example of like Tourette's going away. Have you ever heard of Casper Lee, the YouTuber? He was pretty popular in like 2015 when like Zoella was famous and Joe Sugg.
I'll look him up.
It's probably not your era, but I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
He did a video a good few years ago, probably like almost 10 years ago now, where he spoke about his life with Tourette's.
Yeah.
Because when he was younger, he had like quite mild tics and maybe not Tourette's, because we talked about this on the last podcast, the difference between the tics and the syndrome. But he spoke about his life with it, and then he said as he just grew up, it kind of just went away.
Have you found that yours is less now than it was since last time we spoke, for example?
No, I'd say it stayed the same.
Yeah.
There are periods, where I'll have like a tic for a few weeks where it'll be really bad. But then sometimes it'll be alright. Like when I started the second year of college, obviously I've been getting back into a routine because this summer holidays I've just been kind of lounging around and stuff. So the fact that I had to wake up at like 7:30 and not 10 in the morning, and get the tram to college and all that sort of stuff, that made my tics bad because I wasn't used to it. But as I've got back into the routine with college, they've died down.